Hi everyone. In today's lesson, we're going to talk more about circles. So first, let's review the equation of a circle in center radius form. You may recognize this formula from geometry. If not, that's okay. We're going to review it now. So this formula, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where the center can be found by h comma k, and the radius can be found by taking the square root of r squared. So basically, when we're trying to find the center coordinates, notice how it's negative h, then it becomes positive h, negative k, then positive k. So to find the center, we have to switch the signs from the equation. And the radius is really just whatever number is here, we're going to take the square root of that. So let's just refresh some things from geometry. So I'm asking you to determine the coordinates of the center point and the radius, and then state the equation in center radius form. So the center really is just, equidistant from a diameter, right? So a diameter goes from one end of the circle to the other, right? That's your diameter. So you can find the radius by going in the middle and counting. So my radius would be the distance from the center to the endpoint, right? This distance from here to here would be my radius. So we can count those boxes, 1, 2, 3. So my radius is 3, and it looks as though my center is this coordinate. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So my center is 3, 3. So if I want to put this in the correct form, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. I have to switch the coordinates of the center. So if they're both positive, they're going to go into the equation with a minus. So x minus 3 and y minus 3. And then the radius is 3, so I just have to do radius squared. So 3 squared is 9. So this is my answer for the circle in center radius form. So now, what if I give you the equations and I ask you to determine the center and the radius from that? So again, to find the center, say in this example, we have to switch the signs of the values there. So a negative 4 will make positive 4, and this positive 2 will switch to a negative 2. And the radius squared, r squared, means that the radius must be 2, right? Because 2 squared is in the form r squared, so r is just the base, so r is 2, right? If you wanted to, if that was a little too difficult to see, you really could have said, okay, well, 2 squared is 4, and we know that the radius is the square root of whatever is here, so the square root of 4 is 2. So that might be a little easier. So same thing over here. Let's find the center, and let's find the radius. So the x squared is a little confusing because it doesn't look like one of these, but it actually can be not too bad if we write it as x plus 0 squared, or we could write it as x minus 0 squared. Both of these two will simplify to just x, right? Because x plus 0 is x, and x minus 0 is x. So either one, it doesn't matter, because when you find the center, you have to negate them, right? So when you negate 0 or negative 0, you can't really negate it, so it just stays 0. And then this negative 6 gets negated, or switch the sign, to positive 6. Now this 3 squared is equal to 9. So to find the radius, we take the square root of that number, and that is 3. Okay, next part. We also could have the equation of a circle in what we call standard form. Now this is standard form, and the way that you get it is by double distributing. So here, look at this example. It says write the equation of this circle in standard form. So what we would do is we would blow out this, and then set the equation equal to 0. So x minus 3 squared, we know, is x minus 3 times x minus 3. And y minus 1 squared, we know, is y minus 1 times y minus 1. And don't forget to bring down the equals 16. So take a couple seconds and double distribute this out. Double distribute this out, pause the video, and then hit resume when you're ready for the answer. All right, this is what I got. So what you also can do now is distribute these negative 3x's and these negative y's. I'm sorry, I mean you can simplify them. So we can make this x squared minus 6x plus 9. And then we can make this y squared minus 2y plus 1 equals 16. So in order to get this into standard form, we need the x squared to come first, then the y squared. So let's put this in order. So the x squared, this one, then this one, and then what's the next one? Cx dy. That means all of the x terms and then all of the y terms. So the x's are going to come first, so negative 6x. Then the y term, negative 2y. And then one number, e, equals 0. Well, I have 9 and 1, which I can make 10, and that's equal to 16. So if I want to get it equal to 0, all I'm going to have to do is subtract 16. So I've got x squared plus y squared minus 6x minus 2y. 10 minus 16 is negative 6, and then equals to 0. So you see how you found your equation now in standard form? X squared, y squared, x's, y's, number, and then equals 0. All right, let's take a look at the example on the back. So now, given the equation in standard form, can we go backwards to center radius form? So in order to do this, we actually have to use a little bit of completing the square, which we've done previously. So let's write down some steps and then let's do it. So the first step is going to be to group the x's or group x terms. Then we want to group the y terms. And we want to set it equal to the number or the constant. So I'm going to use red for the x's. So I want the x's to be grouped. So I want x squared plus 6x. Then I want to group the y's, which I'll use blue. So y squared minus 8y. And then I want to set it equal to the constant. So see this 1 here? We need to subtract it from both sides. So we get 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So that is step 1. Group the x's together, group the y's together, and set the constant over to the other side. And then step 2 is going to be to complete the square. And remember, with completing the square, we need to take half of b and square it. And that's what's going to create that perfect square trinomial. So I'm going to use red for the red and blue for the blue. So the number in front of the x is your b, and the number in front of your y is your b. So I need to take half of b. So if b is 6, we're going to divide it by 2, and we're going to square it. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 3 squared gives us 9. Then for the blue, the 8 is your b value, or your negative 8. So negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4, and negative 4 squared is positive 16. So what you just found are the values that you're going to add to both sides of the equation. So x squared plus 6x plus 9, then plus y squared minus 8y plus 16. And now whatever I added to one side, I have to add to the other to make it balanced. So what we can do from here now is to just rewrite them. So I can add all the stuff on the right side. Negative 1 plus 9 is 8, and 8 plus 16 is 24. And now what we can do is we can rewrite this polynomial with the red, and we can rewrite this blue polynomial with the y's. And we're going to write it as something squared plus something squared. So since we know that this is a perfect square trinomial, we know it's going to be the result of two of the same things multiplied together. Therefore, this will be something squared. And remember, you can use these middle values as hints as to what goes in your parentheses. So you see here how this is 3 squared. That is just going to tell you that this factor is x plus 3. And then over here, since this is -4, it's going to tell you what goes in here. So that's just going to be y minus 4. And this is your equation in center radius form. And then it also asks you to find the center and the radius. So remember, the center is when we reverse the signs. So if this is a +3, the center is going to come out to be a -3. This is a -4, so the y value will be 4. And the radius is going to be the square root of the number that's here. And the square root of that number is square root of 24. Now, that's not going to be a perfect square, but that's okay. We can break this up into good house and bad house. So the square root of 24, the numbers such that one of them is a perfect square, I'm thinking we can use 4 and 6, right? 4 times 6 is 24. The square root of 4 is 2. So we get 2 radical 6. And that's my radius. Okay, so I'm going to start you off with the last one, and I'm going to ask that you finish it for homework. So first things first, you notice here in problem number 2 versus problem number 1 that there's coefficients in front of the x squared and y squared. Here, the number in front was 1. You're not allowed to complete the square unless the number in front is 1. So really, step 1 is to divide out the leading coefficient in front of the x squared or the number in front of the y squared. Now that number should be the same, so it's okay. So what we can do is divide every single piece by 4. So these will cancel. You'll be left with x squared plus y squared. Next we have 16 divided by 4 is -4. And then -24 divided by 4 is -6. 64 divided by 4 is 16. And 0 divided by 4 is 0. So what I'd like you to do now is just see if you can try and follow the steps that we did before. Group the x's, group the y's, complete the square, and write in center radius form, and then see if you can find the center and radius. Again, I'll check this tomorrow in class for homework. And that's about it, guys. So have a great night. See you tomorrow.